When you're in digital marketing, you know how important A/B testing is. However, it's a different kind of A/B testing when we're talking about native advertising with traffic sources like Taboola and Outbrain. And in this video, we will talk exactly about A/B testing for native ads. Hi everyone, my name is Marcel Sattler. I'm the founder of Purple Black, a native advertising only agency. What we're doing on a daily basis is we run profitable performance marketing campaigns for traffic sources like Taboola, Outbrain, Yahoo Gemini, and many more. And the A/B testing for native ads is a bit differently than, for example, for normal digital marketing or for social marketing campaigns. The main differentiation here is that you have different touch points for a client. So let's start with the first touch point, which are the ads. And I think it's obvious that you split test ads. You do it almost everywhere. You do it for Google search ads, for Google display ads, for YouTube ads, for Facebook ads. However, you usually upload a bunch of different creatives for your ads. For native ads like Taboola and Outbrain, you do the same. But the main differentiation here is that you usually upload a couple of headlines and a couple of images. And those combined are one creative. So for example, when you upload on Taboola 3 headlines and 3 images, you have 9 different ads and you shouldn't have more. So 9 is, for example, on Taboola, the rule of thumb to upload this amount of number in the very beginning to start with the campaign, and afterwards you can switch them off or add some new. But in the very beginning, you should not test way more than 9. So this is here the rule of thumb. And you have here not just the A/B test, because A/B test is black and white, red and green. You have here something like a multivariate split test, because you're testing every headline with every image, and therefore you have 9 creatives at the end of the day. So this is the very basic stuff. Almost everybody does this because it's very obvious. If you upload an ad, Taboola and everybody else recommends you to upload more stuff here, and there is bunch of resources out there, so you should definitely do this. And if you do this, it's important here for the headlines and for the images that you're using different style of images. Let me give you an example. So we have 3 images which we're able to upload when we're talking, for example, on Taboola. Of course, the ability is more, but the recommendation is 3 images. Then it makes sense to upload not 3 same images or almost the same images for the same style, but it makes definitely sense to use completely different stylings here. So what I mean by that is, for example, one headshot from a person with a blurry background and something like an ID card in the hand. Or additionally, an illustration. So not a real picture, but an illustration. And as a third picture, a picture of the product or of the service. So now you have 3 completely different kind of pictures. And as soon as you see the data, you can take data-driven decisions. So in case you see that the illustration is converting better, like higher CTRs and better conversion rates, then you should upload more of these kind of images. Vice versa, the same, of course. So as soon as you see that, for example, product pictures are working better, you should upload more of them. So you start with a first indication, with a first hypothesis, and then as soon as you see, driven by data, what's working the best, you're uploading more of this stuff. And this is the way how you gather the information and how you use the informations on the best way you can interpret them. All right, now we talked about the ads. Let's switch to the next point. And the next point are the advertorials. And the advertorials are something where I see many advertisers make the huge mistake, and they're just using one advertorial. They don't test anything there. And that's money which you left on the street, because you definitely have to test the advertorial and you definitely have to test some different approaches in the advertorial. And sometimes we saw that just different headline, different beginning of the advertorial makes a huge difference between a winning campaign with a lot of profits every day and a losing campaign, which is not profitable at all. So therefore, you definitely have to split test these advertorials too. And we don't just split test with 1, 2 or 3 advertorials, we usually have a bunch of them to test different angles, different lengths and different styles, so different kind of aggressivity there. So with different style of aggressivity, I mean something which is more pushy, something which is less pushy, and these kind of stuff. Because at the end of the day, you have to test what's working the best for this geo and for this audience in combination with your product. You cannot say what's the best working advertorial, because this might not making sense for you. We have some clients where a very long advertorial, which is very pushy, works great. And we also have clients where a very short advertorial, which is not pushy at all, works the best. So long story short, you have to test it out. There is no quick way to the win. You have to test it out, and you have to optimize your advertorials based on the data you will receive. Important is here in digital marketing in general. As soon as you get the data back, the KPIs back, to analyze them and to optimize them in the next step, like working like in a sprint, like you are familiar with it from software development. So using the data, make a new sprint, analyze it, using the data, make a new sprint, analyze it, and so on. So this was another touch point. And the last but not least touch point is the offer page. So that's the page, for example, if you're in e-commerce, the Shopify product page, or if you are in lead gen, the form page. And here it's also important to test different versions, to test the professional looking version, to test the self-made looking version, and these kind of stuff. So we test honestly a bunch of things here. And at the end of the day, you test the ads, you test in the split test the advertorials, and of course the offer pages. And it's crucial that you have an overview about all your data. And you usually are unable to have this overview if you're just using the onboard tools from Taboola or Outbrain, because you can do like A/B testing, of course, and you should just do it there for the ads in those platforms. But as soon as it comes to a split test of the landing pages, so for the advertorials, you're almost unable to do this with Taboola or Outbrain. So you have to find a tool in between, and there I highly recommend you to use a tracker. You can use other tools like Rebrandly or Bitly, just for redirection of the link. But in general, as soon as you take it serious with native ads, you definitely should use a tracker, also to double check your conversions, and also to have some things included, which is kind of fraud protection, and to have the whole overview about your data. So for example, we're using Volume internally, but there are a bunch of different tools which you can use. But Volume is our source of truth. So we see almost every data inside. We see not just the whole performance inside, we see all the ads inside. We see the landers inside, which are the advertorials. We see the offer pages inside. We see the profitability inside. So we see everything inside. And that's an extremely useful tool for us to see exactly what's working, what's not working. And as mentioned already, we have some other benefits inside more. So therefore, my personal recommendation is to use the tracker. We are using Volume internally, but there are a bunch of different tools which you can use. When there's just one thing which I can give you as my personal recommendation out of this video, it's definitely make tests. Never stop testing, continue the tests, and just because something is working now, it doesn't have to mean that it's working like in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So things are changing very rapidly. And therefore it's important to have a backup, like testing alternatives approaches, testing other audiences, testing other layouts. So continue with the testing to have a backup in case something isn't working anymore. I hope you liked that video. If so, I would extremely appreciate if you give me a thumbs up, and of course when you subscribe to my channel to receive updates when I upload here on YouTube a new video about nothing but native. Have a good one. See you next time.